My friend is ruining her life by staying with her boyfriend. Not sure whether I am supporting her or enabling her. I will try to keep this as short as possible, but it's long. We've been best friends since we were babies, we've been around for all the highs and lows. My friend likes to think she's open-minded, but she's actually incredibly stubborn and it's difficult to change her mind once it's been made up. She's been with her BF for over 7 years now. There have been ups and downs along the way. Some really big downs that would have been deal breakers for me, but weren't for her. Last October she told me they were having a particularly rough patch. Couldn't talk without fighting, they didn't trust what the other one was saying, they'd do things completely in the knowledge it would piss the other one off. Christmas went really badly after he made a unilateral decision that they'd spend the day apart for the first time in years. She said to me shortly afterwards that she wanted to make it work, but if he ever cheated, that would be it. Well, guess what? He'd been cheating. When she found out, she was furious and also broken. He moved out and she was nearly hospitalized. She was so ill. She gave him a deadline date to decide if they should be together or not because she knew she wanted to make it work. Guess what? Nothing was decided by the time the deadline arrived. After more weeks in limbo, he said he does want to try. Note, she begged him to say this, and now they're officially back together, but he still hasn't moved back into their home. I am just raging on the sidelines. She's been miserable for a year, nearly hospitalized. He doesn't make her happy, she doesn't trust him, they don't even want the same things child-wise. My husband wants me to give it to her straight, but there's a risk that will be too much for her to hear and she'll retreat, and I'll ultimately lose her. Do I die on this hill? Or do I continue to just say the truth of things but accept when she makes decisions I think are bad for her? Comment. Tell her the flat-out truth if you really care about her. Sooner or later, she'll find out the truth about him. She might get pissed at you in the short term, but after the relationship implodes, she'll want to connect back with you. Maybe remind her she's a whole person on her own. She has something to offer the world as an individual. She's strong. She's smart. She can do this. Maybe approach it in a build her up way rather than piling on negativity that she already knows about. Give it to her straight and then let her know you support her either way. Don't bring it up again and don't offer any further advice. You can still give it to her straight in a gentle way, especially if you come from a position of your concern for her well-being, rather than using a judgmental tone that could make her defensive. She knows it all. But for some reason, she is unable to let go. There is something that is holding her back. You don't have to tell her what you see, she knows it already. Maybe rather ask her what keeps her with him despite the fact that he trampled all her boundaries. The most helpful thing for her is to boost her in the areas where she falls down. If it's fear of being alone, help her discover new things, people, and hobbies. If it's fear of not finding anyone better, show her how that might be possible. Keep showing her a healthier relationship can exist by example of others and you and your husband, without rubbing it in. You don't have to listen to her complaining all the time. You can also ask what she did in the situations she found herself in and what she wished she would have done, not what she wishes he could have done, as she has no impact on that. And what she would need in order to do what she wished to. It will give you an idea of how to support her in building the resources to stand up for herself without constantly telling her she's making the wrong choice, which only makes her feel worse in the end. Just focus on the negative changes in her, i.e. it seems that the past few months you do not seem happy, you do not, anymore. Tell her that you care about her, keep the focus on her and changes, hopes for future, positive things. Do not say bad things about partner. Being that she's 36 and been with this dude for 7-ish years, she's probably just terrified to start over. So terrified that she's willing to settle for dog shit to avoid doing it. Remind her that there's a bar, a gym, a church, a day out, and at least 7 different conventions full of better guys waiting to meet her. All she has to do is break up with this fool and go to any one of these. Also remind her that the only thing waiting for her if she stays in this relationship is more misery. Don't talk to your friend about BF ever again. She brings up how shitty he is, say don't care, at this point it is your fault for staying, suggest she get therapy for her attachment issues and move on. Don't let her vent to you, say you are not going to enable her to stay. Next story 2. I showed a pic of my GF to her and her friends. A few hours later she is very mad at me and has blocked me. Is this an excuse to break up with me or is it just in my head? So, some context. My GF is still in school overseas and I recently moved out of my old flat into a house. We're long distance for now, but due to my job and her school, and my school before I graduated, we only ever saw each other for maybe 2 a year when we started dating. We've known each other for over a decade but have only been dating the last 3 years, and she was my best friend long before she was my girlfriend. She is an incredibly smart and strong person, but her school is very intense and stressful and she has an anxiety disorder, and some self-image issues. I do my best to be patient and understanding, but by no means do I always say the right things, even if I don't have bad intentions, and I have not nor will I ever say anything just for the sake of being hurtful. Earlier this morning, I woke up and was invited to a Discord call with some of her local friends, one of whom is currently getting out of a relationship with a shitty guy, so we were all there to hear her out and give her support. After the serious talk, my GF told me to give them a tour of my new house, so I gave them the walk around, introduced them to the cat, etc. Until I sat back down at my computer, trying to be funny and lighthearted. I memed on myself by saying if you go to his house and he has 2 monitors and a light-up keyboard, run like hell with the cameras centered on my 2 monitors and light-up keyboard. I ended up showing them some of the pictures I had on my computer, many of which my GF took. I even have one of hers printed and hanging above my desk, which I displayed to them proudly, and in one of the folders I pulled up a pic of my GF, that her friends had taken and she'd sent to me, and tried to embarrass her with some cheesy line like "look at this pretty lady," or something along those lines. I immediately got kicked from the call, and assumed she was just messing around. Jokes and reactions like this are common between us. I texted her, and she told me she really did not like that move, so I apologized and asked if I could come back in. After she let me in, I didn't show anything else and we played games for a few hours until her friends went to bed. She even texted me during this time, and everything seemed normal. After her friends all left, she stopped talking to me. I tried to talk to her but her whole demeanor changed. I asked if she needed some space, and apologized again for the picture stunt. She told me to leave, so I left, and then she began texting me stuff about how mad she is at me, how much she hates me, how I'm such an arsehole and an idiot. This came way out of left field for me, so I apologized again and tried to explain myself, wherein she replied telling me that if I don't have something good to say, I should never talk to her again, and proceeded to block me on most of our communication platforms. I haven't checked them all, but if she wants to be alone, I'm not gonna force her to talk if she doesn't want to. This is not the first time something like this has happened, but it is the first time it has come so far out of the blue. Usually there is a very obvious screw-up on my end, or some other aspect of her life is causing her stress. Not to imply this is common, but in the 10 years I've known her, it has happened a few times. She's been very stress-free lately, and we've been have very nice nights online watching movies and playing games and such. There has been some nagging voice in the back of my head lately. I don't know precisely how to describe it, but the best I can say is a vague sense that I am not good enough for her. Do you all think she is just blowing up as an excuse to break up with me? Or did I just really do the wrong thing at the wrong time, and apologizing alone won't be enough? What should I tell her if she unblocked me later? As strange as this sounds, the overwhelming majority of our time is not like this. We usually get along great and can be on the phone or Discord for hours with no trouble at all. Comment. Sounds like she's being immature and is finding a reason to be mad. Maybe she's trying to end it and is just finding reasons to. I would talk it out with her, and if she doesn't want to talk and keeps you blocked, I would let it run its course. Yeah, she just wanted a reason to break up. Don't give her the satisfaction. Break up with this child first. I'm curious about the content of those photos. Might help gauge her response. Is she self-conscious about her body? Anything inappropriate about any of the pics? Like anywhere for your eyes only? Next story 3. My boyfriend didn't get me anything for our 5-year anniversary but took me to dinner. Would that be interpreted as something negative? We've been together 5 years but have never celebrated an anniversary because we really didn't have a date, but earlier this year, it was brought up by me and I actually looked back at when we first got together and shared that date with him. He was quite enthusiastic and said we should definitely celebrate. It was amazing and we had the best time. I bought him a card and several gifts including a gift card. He did not buy me anything, but I didn't really think much of it because he called the restaurant to make reservations. I offered to pay, which he didn't accept, so he paid for the dinner. Then we went to another place for after dinner drinks and he paid for all of that too. So my issue is, I didn't think much of it because it was such a sweet gesture from him, but when a couple of my friends asked what we did and what he got me, They were both shocked and seemed irritated that he didn't get me anything. I didn't know this was bad. Can I please get thoughts on this? Gifts aren't important to me, but I do love cards, and I guess I was a little bummed I didn't get one. I absolutely love it when he's written sweet things in a card for me, especially since he's not very good with emotion and words. It's been a couple years since I got a card. Nonetheless, it was the wonderful night I had with him that did it for me. My friends thought it was odd and careless that he thought he could go the easy route, as they put it, that if he cared, he wouldn't gotten me a small gift, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. Comment. Why are you listening to your friends? How is he supposed to read your mind that you want a card or gift? If this is the first time you've celebrated it and the expectation was never set, how would he know that's what you wanted? Taking you out for a fancy dinner and drinks is normal. Not everyone's love language is gift giving. Sounds like your friends are jealous or looking for a reason to dislike him. Doesn't sound like you would have cared if they hadn't brought it up in the first place. You had no problems with this until outside people told you to. Don't listen to other people judging. You had fun. He was excited to celebrate. Leave it at that.